checks before I get real crazy into things. And yep, perfect. Everything's working. Sorry for the Jesus glow behind me. It's just I need a lot of bright lights when I'm working, and I haven't quite figured out a good way to light up my area without it being directly behind me. And that's not because I can't figure out how lights work. It's actually just because of the placement and shape of my workspace and area. I need a little bit bigger desk, and I just haven't bought one yet. So today, we're going to work on some Frontieris terrain. That is the GW Kill Team Nachmund Warzone Frontieris box. It's the like satellite dish and all the other cool stuff that is in there. As you can see, we got this handsome paper towel here as our workspace. And that's mostly just so I don't get more spills on my actual workspace. As you can see here, I've got quite a bit already. And let's see, we need to do a couple more things. We do have some, what do we have? We have some stuff. We have stuff and things. Some announcements. So let me get this going. We'll do some announcements, and I apologize for the brief silence we're going to have here, but I don't multitask super well. All right. Hobby Time Live. Awesome. Got a viewer. Welcome to the chat. We're just doing some last minute touch ups here on a few things that kind of go with my starting routine. There we go. Is that Matt? I think that's Matt. I'm starting to like remember people's handles, I guess. Yep. Their profile names, starting to associate some of them with the people they are, which is kind of neat. All right, so that's all done. That's all done. That's all done. So I think we can get all my bits out. Nice. Where do you work? I don't know if I've ever actually asked you that. Oh, that was for a kit bash I need to finish. So this is a piece of what we are working on. This piece is actually done. We're going to do more of them. Don't worry. I have, I think, 5 boxes of this left to build. But the next one we're going to work on is this massive piece right here. And then we'll do the satellite dish. Oh, nice. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. All right. So, got my official GW terrain. I got my official GW snips. I got my official GW glue that's poured into my not official GW bottle. And really, I just like the brush. So all my Games Workshop plastic glue goes into this bottle. So I can use the brush. And we're going to get cracking. I think Tyler was on stream yesterday with a night. And I released a new stream schedule. We're going to be streaming a lot more. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're going to be doing 2 to 3 hours of hobby streaming. Let's see. Thursday, we're going to continue to do our game streams. Fridays, I'm going to be working on what I'm going to call like a reaction stream. And effectively, it's just going to be we're gonna do a lot of different things on there. We might look at some Warhammer community leaks. We might look at some maybe some different codexes, some different rules. Like that's going to kind of be a free-for-all interaction discussion where we might talk about some rules interactions, stuff like that. Almost could be like a live Q&A even. It's effectively just going to be a little bit more improvised rather than scheduled. But I think this Friday, tomorrow, we're going to look at some of the guard teases and some of the guard rules leaks that they've had. Because while I don't think any of them are inherently just busted, there are some interesting ones, and hopefully I'm not screwing up the camera too much. I'm just trying to fix a few things. There are some interesting ones, and man, if anybody wants to talk about it today, we can. I just don't have them pulled up in front of me. But Guard's a weird animal right now, and I don't know how I feel about a lot of their stuff. Yeah, and man, and that's what I was getting ready to get into, is I like a lot of the interactions that they are showing. I don't. Yeah, those are. I don't have an issue with those, like the las cannon teams, which are like pretty bonkers. Uh, they're effectively rail guns, if I remember right. Like they're very similar to the Tau railgun. Um, but I think, it's infantry and a heavy weapon, so I would assume they're just going to be hitting on 4s and 5s for most of the game. So it's going to feel a lot like a Tau railgun, except it won't have the free reroll. You know. Although if they do end up with the core, and if they get any kind of interactions with being core, that could be interesting. I think my only real complaints so far about the Guard Codex, I don't like the lack of regiments. Like, I don't know, it's really weird how they just kind of did a mix and match, and then the different regiments have their own kind of baked-in rules for the infantry. And what I did see about that, so a good example was the Krieg, for example, have a baked-in baby transhuman, so they can only be wounded on 3s. And then they had something else to go with that, and I don't remember what it was. But then they also get whatever your regiment rules are. So it's almost like your different regiments are just like different upgrades for your squads, effectively. And then you get your normal army rules, but they just have custom regiments. So I did think that was kind of weird. Not that it was good or bad, just a little different. It's interesting. I just hope it doesn't kill the flavor of the army. It's one thing I liked about Guard is they had a lot of flavor. Krieg was its own separate, distinct army, and even though you could play with a lot of the same units, they still just felt like Krieg. So it was one of the cool things about Guard was they had so many neat options, and with them kind of putting everything into the custom regiments that they did, and then giving just infantry squads different rules based off of what regiment they came from, I just feel like that's a weird interaction. Cadia is like the base generic. Here's my Cadians. They don't seem to really get much. They can take a plasma weapon and a heavy weapon, but not 2 heavy weapons, I believe is what it was. And then the Catachans, they didn't really release a ton, which was interesting. They get some kind of melee interaction. I don't remember what it is, but it seemed weird without having the full data sheet in front of me. And then, like I said, like the Krieg dudes have some survivability. And I know it was transhuman. Hey, what's up? Good morning. Welcome to the stream. I know the Krieg had like a baby transhuman where they could only get wounded on 3s, but I don't remember what the other part of their little thing was. But they were the most expensive of the infantry squads, and I think they were sitting right around 80 points when they showed those leaks. So it'll be interesting to see. If I were gonna do Guard as an army, I'd probably do just a full Krieg force. If they had Steel Legion, I would actually just do them. I really just enjoyed the aesthetic a lot. I like the little gas mask, trench coat, World War II, World War I look that those guys had. So, but like I said, I just think it's weird the way they ended up doing the regiments, where you don't have actual regiments anymore. It looks like you just pick your regimental traits, and then your actual regiments are just like effectively points upgrades for your units. Yeah, yeah. No, that's. I had some Steel Legion dudes that I used. Um, Really, it was one of those where I was making an order, and it was just like a little one-off web order for a customer, and I didn't have free shipping. So then I was like, oh gosh, I need some free shipping. I'm not going to spend shipping on this. So I just bought myself a couple boxes of the Steel Legion boys, and I was gonna just use them in some Gene Stealer cult, and then I ended up playing Gene Stealer cult, and I didn't enjoy the lack of models in the line. Like, I really liked the army. I liked the way they interact. I liked that, you had to really think about what you were doing. It's a very high skill army, but I just did not like that there were like 20 data sheets in the whole codex, and 10 of them are characters. Like that to me was just not a good interaction. So, and arguably I could have just brought some Brood Brothers to kind of fill that out, and I never really explored that, and that's what those Steel Legion models were gonna be. Oh, you know what? I need to jump back on this computer right quick and send a link to somebody. Silly goose. The goose is on the loose. All right. Stream promotions. But all my dudes were Volupus pink, which is like the contrast for Screamer pink. Give me a second. All right, sorry. Volupus pink, which is the contrast for Screamer pink, and then I forget what the contrast Incubi darkness is. And it's not even Incubi darkness. It was the turquoise, which isn't necessarily Incubi darkness, but it's pretty close. And then all the metallics were gray night steel, so it was that kind of bluish color. And I thought they looked cool. Um, my buddy Jim, who plays guard full time, thought they were absolutely atrocious and some of the ugliest things he'd ever seen. But his whole guard army was basically just what's the word I'm looking for here? Olive drab. Like they were very traditionally painted. Like his Catachans that he did have were painted like Catachans, because he's that dude, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just he wanted his things to be what they were, and I just was like, man, I don't care. I just want them to look cool. Like I don't care if they're lore accurate. All right, D3 Russ. I don't know that name, so if you're somebody I know, let me know who you are. And even if I don't know you, let me know who you are. And then, yeah, I do know Elite Slayer, so that's cool. And then, Matt, you're going to be next weekend. I'm going to see you, if I remember correctly. You'll be bringing them Chaos Knights. So glad I have an open window. This glue would be destroying me right now if I didn't. Who that is? That's just my baby daddy. dude's talking about the Harris Horsey. I don't know anything about that. There we go. Hold that for a few minutes. So this set's actually kind of wild to build, and it's not hard. And if I'm really grinding, I can probably build the whole box in just under an hour, which is interesting. But not just under, just over an hour. But that's like, I don't have any distractions. There's no movie, there's no nothing, there's no music. Like, I'm just focused on what I'm doing. And it's not fun to do it that way. Snip this little duder off. This is it. This is my other job, which is pretty neat. I get to build stuff for Games Workshop. But anyway, yeah, worked on my stream schedule. So we're going to do some hobby streaming. I'm going to, me personally, do hobby streams Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday in the morning. And then I believe Tyler, who does hobby streams for me on Tuesdays, he might still do Tuesdays, but I think he's going to maybe move to Mondays. We'll see. He and I are going to work all that out. And then we'll keep the live stream game every Thursday. That is not going anywhere. And then what else? We're probably going to be trying to pick up a live stream game every other Saturday. And then if we can't do a game, we'll just do some kind of other video. And then, let's see, what else did we have? Live stream game. Something. There was something. Couldn't say. Fridays. Yeah, like I said, Fridays. That's right, because that's what started the whole guard tangent. Like Friday will be reacting to maybe some Warhammer community articles or some rules leaks or something like that. So we'll see how that goes. That's right. I forgot that that's what started the whole conversation, because then Matt and I were talking about the heavy weapons teams and how they looked kind of interesting. And nothing looks necessarily bad in that codex. Kind of curious. They look weird in that, like, the big thing that's going to really kind of make sure that they're not like super crazy is just their points. Oh shit! Jimmy Button in the house. What's up, dude? We're not doing orcs today, but I'm glad you're here for them. We were actually just talking about your boys in the guard. I think that's a NWA song, isn't it? The Boys in the Guard. So, have you kept up with any of the guard leaks at all? I know you were talking about maybe getting back in. Do, 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 do. Well, when you go to rebuild, hit me up, cause I'm gonna do what I can to help you out. How is the old O'Reilly's? And also, I think everybody in here's a follower, but once we hit 50 followers, I'm gonna be giving away a combat patrol. So that's pretty cool. think when you stream, it's usually like after my bedtime too, Jimmy. That sounds right? Because I have tried to kind of like catch you, and I never do. And I know you're doing a lot of video games. I don't even know if you've actually been streaming lately or not, because I know last time we talked, you were kind of talking about how you hadn't gotten to do it that much. Gotcha. Yeah, and the weekends are weird for me right now, because a lot of times, especially the last few weeks, I've just like either been running events or I've been out of town with the kid. So, yeah. Am I just super retarded? Maybe I'm super retarded. Well, let's try turning up my mic and seeing what happens. Is that a little bit better? Awesome. Cool. I think I just had the volume turned down a little bit too much on the microphone. I turned it up, and hopefully, yeah, that fixed it. What games, you been playing any new games, dude? I don't really keep up with the video games too much, but between Matt and Alex, I do get to hear about some of them sometimes. All right. Flip that. This is such a cool terrain piece, too. It really is. It's not super functional for 40K outside of like narrative stuff, but it is super awesome. And I do want to get one. So we just put that there. We're just loading this thing up. Actually, not on Twitch, just playing League of Legends. I feel that. Yeah, I mean, I've never played League of Legends, but I do know what it is, and that seems like an accurate statement. Like, I don't know anybody that plays that game casually, right? Yeah, and that's what I was getting ready to say. Is like I don't know anybody that plays that game casually, because even the casual players are just a lot of fucking neckbeards about it. Like, oh, you've got to min-max literally everything you do. Like, there's no chill in that game at all, from my understanding. And I don't know if it's always been that way, and I don't even know if that's even an accurate statement. That's just how I understand it. Is that game, like the player base just has no chill. It's like what's that game? Rust. That's another game where, from my experience, and I have played that one, but a lot of the player base just has no chill. Hell yeah, dude. I appreciate you stopping in, Matt. We'll talk to you later, buddy. Have fun at work. Uh, Also, Jim, I don't know if I don't remember if I told you, but you remember that Death Guard player you played last year at the Indy ATC? I actually ran into him at another Indy ATC tournament that we went to. He said hi because he did remember you, and he did remember just like having a great time playing with you. So, yeah, we got another viewer. Welcome to the stream. We're just building some terrain, doing my thing. All right. So, the Death Guard dude that you played at the Indie ATC, not the, Ben, I think was his name. Athletic, kind of short, kind of dark complected. Super nice dude. I ended up playing him at an ATC that I went to in Indy again, and he remembered you and wanted me to tell you hi. And that was it. Just that I ended up running into that dude, and he did remember your guys' game, and he remembered you, and thought you were a lot of fun to play with, and wanted me to tell you hi. That was the whole story. What? Look at that. Stars. Let's go. All right, so this piece right here is effectively done for now. So we just move that off to the side. And then we start building this. Nice, dude. Hell yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, no, he and I, like, we had a good time. We had fun. And we started getting ready for the game, and we were trying to figure out how we knew each other, because we were both like, man, I know you, I recognize you. And then it clicked, and then he was like, all right, I'm ready, blah, 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 blah. And I just looked at him, I'm like, hey, man, I'm going to tell you like this. I don't care who wins, but this game's over turn 3. And we're going to go get a beer. Like, that's just how I play. And he started laughing, and that game was over turn 3. We did go get our beer. It was a good time. Like, what a great dude. All right. Do. So again, for anybody who just hit the stream, I just released a new stream schedule, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll be doing hobby streams. Thursday, we'll be doing games. And then every other Saturday, we'll either be doing games or some other. It's going to be kind of like a free-for-all. We'll kind of figure out it as we go. And then starting tomorrow on Fridays, we're doing maybe some codex reviews and or some rules reactions, like all the new guard leaks. I think we're going to talk about those. I got to move this clip. I keep snagging on it, and it's the poopy duty. So that's the general plan for the stream schedule. So look forward to at least an extra 2 stream games every month. We won't be 2 right away, just because of the holidays. November and December are kind of crazy. But once we hit January and things kind of like calm down, that's when we're going to probably start seeing an extra 2 games. And it may not ever be 2. It may only end up being an extra 1 every month. And that's simply because this next year I plan on running a ton of events. I think I have about 10 events on deck. I just need to schedule them. So I need my work schedule from Games Workshop, see what events I'm working for them, see what I get to work or what I don't. All right. $30 minutes. Cool. also, after I get this piece built, need to check my time card. I'm actually on the clock for Games Workshop right now. Valpo, dude. So I'm not super far away, actually. I run a lot of events in Chesterton, but I am actually this year, 2023, going to be working with the dudes over at Got Game in Plymouth, Indiana, and we're going to be running some events out of there. You know, I think Steve's kind of the owner, Steve, is kind of seeing the draw that the events I'm running is starting to have over the last 6 months to a year, and is realizing that he's kind of missing out because we had tried running an event with him in the past, and I like Steve. I think he's a good dude, but he is an accountant first and foremost, and so he wasn't prepared to kind of do the I'm going to lose money to build a community. But I think now that he's seeing, hey, this guy is getting a draw, he's starting to want some of that action, which is fine. I don't mind. I get it. You know, nobody wants to lose money. But, you know, if we can help him out and expand the community, I'm all for it. Let's do it. You know, we've kind of expanded here. Oh, what's up, Dennis? Hell yeah, man. I don't know how well you remember me, but I'm pretty sure you're one of Josh Hirschman's buddies, and I'm pretty sure we played some ball back in the day, at least once or twice. Yeah, Tyler's been really doing the Lord's work, helping me out over the last probably month while I'm trying to get so many things kind of squared away and situated. I mean, I wish I could say you were wrong, and I just am using that term very loosely when I say friend. No, I won't talk shit about him online. That's rude. I'll just talk shit to him. But hell yeah. Our stream games, interestingly, have been pretty consistent with getting us pretty good viewers. So, and if I'm going to get any kind of income from this, I needed to dedicate more time to making streams. But like I said, Tyler's been really just like really good about just being consistent for me and getting streams up for me outside of the games. And, you know, he's really just been kind of keeping everything going. No, we have not touched that game. And man, I have never been happier. I want to like it, man. I really want to. I love the core rules interactions of that game. But man, once I start playing it and I remember how the army books work, it just gives me the feel bads because it's just a mechanic I don't like. And it's arguably one of my biggest issues with where Ninth Edition went, starting with like there were a few codexes early on that could, but they got adjusted right away. You know, like the AdMech codex and the Drukhari one didn't really have access to too many. Thanks, buddy. That's why I'm gonna do an OnlyFans soon. That's Dan right there. Dan's also a good guy to talk to about the guard leaks. So Jimmy, you might pop a few questions at him about them while you're both in here, just because Dan is also a guard player. He does sisters and guard, and I know he's been doing a pretty good job of keeping up with them. And I wouldn't mind having a pretty good discussion about it while everybody's in here. We touched on it briefly right when Jimmy was coming in to the chat. But yeah, no, I'm about it. If you guys want to kind of pop off about some guard leaks, I am ready. Was it all Bane Blades, or was it just the one variant that was silly, or did they only just show the one variant? I don't know. I did see the one had like, was it D6 plus 3 shots, or was it D3 plus 3 shots? And it was like 12 damage. Like, yeah, the one that they leaked that I saw, and maybe there were more, but I only saw the one. It looked really good. Um, it looked a lot like the Storm Surge, like that level of just like damage output, which is pretty neat. And I don't have, so as a person who plays competitively but also likes to see the game be balanced, I don't have any kind of issue with that interaction. When they're pointed properly, like when that Storm Surge first came out and that thing was like 300 points. Yeah, there we go. Strength 18, so it can wound land raiders on 2s. Interesting. I mean, and then that makes sense. That codex creep, yo. We gotta have something that can do things to other things that we had to creep up. Is silly. And I'm not going to get into it right now, but Games Workshop has tried to address the codex creep. So I will give them a lot of props for that, but I'm not going to dive into that conversation right now. I'd rather try to keep this focused on guard. Yep, and I assume, so did it say if they still had the 3+ save? Because I thought that's what Baneblades had, was they still had a 3-up save, and I'm wondering if they went to T2-up. I didn't look. I'd like to think that I'd like to think that the Armor of Contempt is going to go away, but I know it's probably not, at least not initially for guard. But some of those, like the Armor of Contempt, man, like it's weird because like guard obviously needed help, and I'm not saying guard shouldn't have it. But again, it's just one of those interactions where, as a person who predominantly plays a book that didn't change much, yeah. I want. Oh no, the Thunderers are a Forge World, so they won't get anything until they FAQ that. I'm wondering if the Thunderers will go to a 2-up save though, or if they'll stay at 3-up. So Dan, have you paid attention to any of the tournament lists that people are bringing for guard? Because I'm kind of curious to know what goes into what most people consider a competitive list. Because in my head, I know what I would bring, but that doesn't mean that's what people are bringing to competitive games. And I know what army people are running. I just don't know what's in the list. Because I just worked on that stats video that needs to get put out, and I'm going to try to get that up today or tomorrow. But I know people are bringing Cadians. Yeah, yeah. And it's because their secondaries are all like based on infantry, is my understanding. So they're able to score points at least now. But the only thing I'm seeing, and I could be wrong, is it's a lot of Cadia, so they can get their white shields. Like Cadia has the most support in terms of stratagems, relics, and warlord traits. And I just feel so, and I'm not a guard player, but Jimmy, you and I both know, like, I was able to do some pretty solid things with that guard codex when I was kind of futzing around with it. And I still think that the custom faction, where you heal in the command phase, and then either doing the second one for the Catachan reroll or doing something to make your infantry more survivable. I think either one of those is going to help you out, like a wilderness survival. Uh, Obviously, that's going to change in the next month or two here. I'm guessing guard's going to drop right around Thanksgiving. Yeah, the range bonus and the reroll is also really good. And it really is. Really, it's just a difference in play style, I think, between you running that and me running the way I did. Because to me, like, especially now that Chimeras have Armor of Contempt, they're a 3-up save with Armor of Contempt. Interestingly, so interesting statement, Dan. And I'm not saying you're wrong, because they might be, but when I did the stats video that I did, um, I actually found out that the custom regiments, and you don't get to see what custom regiments they are, but the custom regiments had a very similar win percentage to Cadia. And I think Catachan, Cadia, and Custom were the three winningest factions, and they were all within like 1% of each other in terms of win percentage. So yeah, Cadia probably is the best in terms of support, but I am seeing that people are getting, and this isn't, they weren't small sample sizes either. Like out of 3,000 games, I think Cadia had 1,500 of it, maybe 2,000, and then the rest of them were effectively just split between custom and Catachan. So it was a pretty good mix of things. It wasn't just like, here's 5 Catachan dudes that just did well at an RTT. And that's what I was getting ready to say, is about the difference in playstyle with Jimmy, because the way I would do it is I'd probably load up on Chimeras or even Toroxes, because I think the Toroxes get Armor of Contempt. So I would probably just load up on the cheapest fucking transport possible and really just kind of play them the way I do, Jim. Just literally scream them at people, charge things that they can sit in combat with for at least a turn, because it's only going to be base save or maybe like a neg 1 because of Armor of Contempt. And then just hopefully they can tank enough damage that they don't die the turn they charge or get charged, and they'll be able to stay on the table and just lock things up. Um, and again, Jim, you've seen me play a lot of things. Like, that is very much how I treat my transports for the most part. Is just, this is a disposable unit that I can use to tie you up for a turn and maybe clog some charging lanes. And I'd have to look. I assume the Torox and the Torox Prime both get Armor of Contempt, because I assume they have the Astra Militarum keyword, because I believe they get the Regimental Doctrines as well. Maybe the Prime doesn't. Right. Yeah, and that's it. Is your style definitely works for you and what you were doing, because you were far less aggressive with your vehicles than I am. You know, I was definitely a lot more aggressive. And man, I think so. I think armored sentinels, if they keep armor of contempt, I think armored sentinels are going to be money. I think scout sentinels are still going to be good. Those things, like just the armor of contempt rule, really opens up so many options that I think a lot of people just don't think about. Yeah, that was always one of my favorite units in that codex. You know, was the armored sentinels and the scout sentinels, because the scout sentinels, when you give them heavy flamers and you can pre-game move them, you can get like a turn one charge, and if you can hit like a soft target, you can tie things up really effectively and really alter the way somebody is gonna play their game, because those things are kind of chunky, and now they get a save against -3 AP, at least for now. And I assume they will when the codex launches. I don't think they're going to drop Armor of Contempt immediately. I think they'll see how the codex does at launch and decide whether or not to repeal it after. Right, and that's what I was thinking, Dan. And I think I'm going to pull up the data sheet here in a minute after I get done with this piece. Because I think they get, like, I just feel like the regular Torox is cheap enough that you could really spam that bitch. And maybe it's just a I don't have enough models to do this kind of situation. I don't know who you are. Eh, there we go. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. That's also true. I mean, that I don't think all weapons and guns will lose an AP. I really don't. Because again, like certain codexes didn't even get AP bonuses for the most part. I do think you're right in terms of, and honestly, I don't know. Maybe Armor of Contempt just becomes a permanent fixture for power armor for now. I don't know. Let's see. Is it? Yeah, so the Torox is T6, 3-up save, Armor of Contempt, with a 14-inch move and 10 wounds. Like, that's for 90 points base. So for, and you can't put a flamer on it? Okay, so what's the Chimera? Because the Chimera might just be a better option then. Yep, Chimera is a better option. Because it's 85 points to put 2 heavy flamers on it. And they're T7 with a 3-up save. So that's, Chimera is just the better way to go for that. And I think the Prime's a little bit more expensive. It is, but it does get better guns. I gotta figure out who you are real quick. Oh, man. I got a follow request from the $310 million Powerball winner, and she's giving away $50,000 to people. No, we're not doing that. Yeah, but the way and I knew the Prime was especially. I don't know if the regular one's a better vehicle or weapon platform. But I know the Prime is, because the Prime can take the missiles and the Prime can take the what you call it, the hot shot las, which are fucking hilarious. And to me, like hot shot las is basically with Hammer of the Emperor. Hot shot las is like an auto take because of the volume. Like you're just spamming so many shots that it's just like, all right, cool. My hit rolls of 6 will auto wound, and if I roll enough dice, I can. You can't make them all. But yeah, no, and that's why, like with the Chimeras, Dan, the way I would run them is just heavy flamers. Yeah, that's it. Well, you can't drop and move, if that's what you're saying. Remember, that was what pissed Bailey off that one day. But no, it's like kind of how my interaction with guard is, Dan, is man, like I'm going to use those chimeras very effectively. To me, those were the workhorses in my army when I did play guard, the few games I did get to play with them. Um, they were the workhorses of my army because I would slam them into whatever I could and just hope to tie you up for one turn. If I can tie you up for one turn, they did their thing. And I put the flamers on them because I didn't have to worry about their ballistic skill degrading. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that that is going to be a really healthy interaction with the way your guns are getting a lot of damage ramp. You know, like bringing a Baneblade that can average 5 shots for a 12 damage gun effectively means that on average, one of those hits should auto wound every time you shoot it. And again, I don't know that that's a good interaction for the game. I'm not saying it's necessarily bad, but with the volume and damage ramp, and I guess volume's not even right, because it sounds like, the Lehman Russes are losing the shoot twice, but like some of the guns are just getting a few more shots to kind of compensate them. I believe their movement went down also. That might not be true. But I was thinking the movement of the Lehman Russ went down a little bit, but then you just get to move your full and you just end up getting a few bonus shots to compensate you for losing the shoot twice ability. If it stays on the infantry but goes away off the vehicles, I think that's okay. Or maybe it becomes an order. I think that's also okay. I don't know that having it army wide is very good in terms of just a game interaction. They have nerfed a lot of armies that have had that interaction after they've released that interaction. And hey, actually, while I've got a couple dudes who do kind of follow the guard stuff here, what's the deal with the turrets? Can they shoot out of combat now from Lehman Russes? Like, does the turret get to shoot out of combat? Thought that was a thing. Okay. wasn't super important. And I'm almost wondering, and again, like, this isn't my favorite interaction in 40K, but I'm almost wondering if grinding advance becomes a stratagem. Interesting. Is it that they can, so, and I guess I'm curious, and I don't know if you saw it, is it they can shoot at what they're engaged with, or is it like the Baneblade interaction where they can shoot at anything? Like they shoot out of combat. There we go. Boop. All right, we're almost done with this whole box, and then we can start a new box. Actually, I needed to check my time card. I might, depending on where my time card's at, we might do some painting. That'd be neat. Yeah, and I was thinking that was the interaction, which is interesting. I'd be curious to see what the full rule for that is. And again, I am about it. I don't have any issues with that interaction because an army that relies so heavily on its tanks, their tanks need to not get shut off. You know, it's weird that they would get no penalty. And again, I don't know all the rules interactions, so maybe it makes sense once you see them. Right, and that's what I was getting at is there's so much that we don't know. So it's really hard to be like, oh, this is going to be good or this is going to be bad. Obviously, it's not going to be worse than it is now. I don't think any codex got released and just was inherently worse than it was before. There have been a few releases where they haven't really gotten much better, but I don't know that any of them got worse. All right, let's check my timesheet because I'm on the clock. We're checking timesheets while I'm on the clock. Boop, 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 boop. Well, and like I said, I don't, excuse me, I don't think they're going to get worse. I mean, as a company, Games Workshop has really tried to make them better. Did I clock in yesterday? Why do I have a check mark? No. Clocked in Monday. There we go. Why is that unpaid? Okay, that's super weird. I'll have to fix that. Every once in a while, man, they decide I don't need to get paid for my time. All right, cool. Yeah, we can start cracking on another box here, and then maybe we'll see where we're at and do some painting after that. Going to leave you guys here for just a moment. Be right back for a potty break. Okay. Actually, let me know what happened, Dan. It's not the first time I've seen or heard that before, so I'd appreciate whatever feedback you can give me there. While I crack this box open. Correct. Was he trying to claim it while there were less than 15 models? Interesting. All right. Man, see, and that's a weird one. And I'd like to say that wasn't intentional, but he and I had that discussion during our game, and we both knew it was 15. Yeah, no, so that's man, you hate to see it. And again, like, isn't the first time I've heard something like that, but uh, the last time really that was even a thing was a long time ago. So I just kind of chalked it up to not to ignorance, not maliciousness. But that one is going to be kind of hard to um, chalk up to ignorance because I did have that conversation with him already earlier that day, and he's played that army long enough that that shouldn't be a thing. So, uh, interesting. All right. I appreciate the heads up. I will definitely keep my eye open a bit more. And that's fair. And that is super fair. Like, maybe it doesn't change the outcome of the game, but knowing that also means as a TO, I'm going to have to keep a little bit more of an eye on those games in general. There was another guy there playing the same army, and I think his was definitely mostly ignorance because he tends to just hop to whatever's meta. Um, and a lot of people had kind of a negative interaction with him. So that's kind of sad. Like, I don't like seeing that at my events. I don't like seeing people come out to my events and then create like a negative interaction. But as a judge, like, I'm going to have to find somebody else to be the ringer and just keep eyes on tables a lot more actively than I normally would because we're as an event organizer, I'm starting to pull some of these dudes that are a lot more meta hoppy, and whether they're maliciously or blatantly misrepresenting their rules or whether they just hop so much that they don't take the time to learn their rules. These are not interactions that I want to have. I don't want to. I'm trying to think of the way to say this. I want that type of feedback, but I don't want there to be a reason for me to get that type of feedback. So I'm going to start to have to probably get an extra judge and start having active judging. Um, where we just walk around and actually, like, if we see something, correct it on the spot without being asked. It's not, like I said, it's not an interaction that I enjoy, but I think that's where it's going to end up having to go because of some of the feedback that I've been getting. And honestly, it will also let me start streaming, which is not a bad thing either. If I can start streaming tournament games, is good. And I'm going to have to... Next year is going to be a very busy year for me as an event organizer and coordinator. So we will see how it goes, sir. But no, like I said, I do appreciate the feedback. I don't like getting it, but I like getting it, if that makes sense. All right. What do we got? We got Saturday and Sunday. Oh shit, it's cash money, Tyler. Yeah, no, and that is the issue, Dan, is that I played him round 1 and it came up during our game. But I already knew the interaction. I didn't know it was 15. I was thinking it was 10, but I already knew the interaction. So when I was like, "Hey, she's screened by what, 10 models?" He immediately was like, "No, it's 15." And I was like, "Cool." So it's one of those where, because I had already had knowledge of the interaction, I think. But no, and that's sad, cuz again, like, I had some dudes come out to a tournament when I first started running them, and one of them lost to him, and it's one of those where maybe he didn't lose to him. I don't remember who won. It didn't matter. But there was some blatant rules misrepresentation, and he didn't have his codex, which is why I have to have a codex rule now. Um, and like I said, it was when I first started running events, so some of this stuff I didn't even consider. So now I have to have an official rule source rule, and if you don't have one, like, you just forfeit victory points, or no, you lose all rules disputes. Um, you know, and it's one of those where it sucks, but at this point, man, like, now that we know these interactions with some people, like, definitely don't hesitate. Scroll up into the chat, Tyler. I'm not gonna vocalize it super hard. I'm just gonna answer questions regarding it. So, yeah, that's it, my man. So, yeah, it's like I said, it is going to drastically change the way, in some ways, that I have to run events. Um, some of my events are probably going to have different judges that are not me, simply because I'm going to need to get time to go to events next year, and sometimes those events are going to have to just be ones that I organize, but then let other people judge. Yep, that's what we were talking about, Tyler. And the issue, if you scroll up, you'll see what the issue was, and the fact that that conversation was had earlier in the day with me kind of sheds a different light on that. Like, it doesn't seem very accidental at that point, because I had that conversation earlier in the day, and it was discussed and called out. So, and I don't know. Oh, gotcha. Give me a minute. I will. I don't know if I can post it in here. Nope. All right. That right there was the issue. So, these go in the box. So, but yeah, no, like I said, it's gonna come down to, if I run 6 events at Reliquary, for example, maybe 2 of them I outsource my judging to a couple other people so that I can actually play, and then I just make sure I have 2 judges for every event, and that they are constantly patrolling rather than sitting. And we just take the GW active judging kind of stance on it. You know, because it's one of those where, now that it's not the first event that I've gotten that type of feedback about a player, and it's not the first event I've gotten that feedback about that player also. All right, so these are done. This first section is so easy because it's just cutting things out for the most part. Yeah, this is the Frontieris Nachmund. So it's the satellite dish and the walls and stuff. We don't want to do this one yet, so we'll put it out here. Oh, technically, that's not how you deploy. Uh, yeah, the Frontieris Nachmund. He did the same thing for me. I didn't care. I just told him, hey man, are you sure this is what you want to do? Like, you just want to drop him? And he's like, yeah, it's not gonna matter. Right. And again, it's one of those where you could have absolutely just been like, look, dude, I just want to do this by the book. Or have call me over at that point if you're not comfortable with it. But it's one of those where if he's going to put it out and he's just going to set everything up, then wherever it is where it is. Like, it shouldn't change again based on what you do, if that makes sense. Because ultimately, like, I don't care. Deploy wherever you want to. If that's what you want to do, then I'm just going to counter your deployment and go. Right. And that one, again, like, that one doesn't bother me so much. Like that one was just like whatever. I have long enough range that the harpies are going to die no matter what if I go first. And you know, our game came down to me misplaying the Incarn. I don't misplay her, and our game is probably me winning by 10 the other direction rather than me losing by 10. Gotcha. And with regard to the deployment, I think with NIDS especially right now and Leviathan, even after this data slate, I think it's the army is just so good that it just doesn't matter. Like being able to dish out as many mortal wounds as they can. It just doesn't matter where anything drops outside of a few things. Especially when like I don't have anything that's going to turn one get in that deployment zone and make him pick any of that up. So it's like I get it. But yeah, when you've got, 2 units of 3 or 4 zoanthropes that are able to drop super smites on like a 7, Tyler? 8? It's one of those where it's like you're just doing a d6 plus 3 or a d6 plus 4 or whatever it is, mortal wounds every psychic phase. So you're basically doing a minimum of 10 just from 2 spells. Yeah, well, and I know one of them was a 4-man. I just didn't know if they had any kind of cap on any of that shit or not. Yeah. So no, the answer is no. And that's therein is the inherent issue with that codex is that literally every unit in that army just does buckets of mortal wounds in some way or another, and it's got such a and it's such an Age of Sigmar interaction, uh, and it's just shitty. Like it's inherently one-dimensional. Um, the way they can bounce a lot of their spells, so they don't even have to be in line of sight for some of it. The way they can, like, when they had transhuman on everything, they were a lot harder to shift. So it's just one of those where it is what it is. It'd be super nice if the last bit of this edition wasn't so much mortal wounds, but here we are. I will never enjoy that mechanic, and I'd like to see it get toned down. Awesome. Cool, cool, cool. Had to check in with the boss. No, and when that codex dropped, when I looked at it, Tyler, that was like the first one where I was like, yep, this is it. This is what everybody's going to play. And I didn't even look at like the meta units. Like I literally just looked at what I had. You know, I'd have to look at the other ones to have an actual opinion on what I would probably run. Um, we will see. I'm not getting NIDS again, but I just mean in a situation where if somebody were to be like, "Hey, if you played NIDS, what would you play?" I'd have to look at the codex to see. Because I like warriors, and that's the problem is that I really like warriors, and they just like they're still good. But the fact that the zoanthropes are an auto include in every list for multiple reasons is also one of those things that makes them tough. It's really like the only access you have in NIDS to an invulnerable save, and then you couple that with couple that with the fact that their damage output is just bonkers. Did I? Sorry, I'm just checking something. Oh, yeah. Cool. Yeah, I mean, so as far as things in that book that I really just kind of like their interactions, I like the what you call it, Carnifexes. I think those are really good. I like but there's a specific build for them that make them really good. And I like the warriors, obviously. I like Hormigants a lot, and Termagants. More Hormigants. I feel like Hormigants have a lot more playability and a lot more versatility, even though they don't shoot. And I think there's a lot of ways to help kind of keep them on the table. And I could be wrong because it's been a while since I've looked at their rules. Oh, hold up. Did I? This is why I send everything to her to check over. I do. Oh, I'm not. All right, so Thanksgiving, we're not streaming. I'm just a dumbass. So, why did I put 12? That was dumb. There we go. All right, cool. File, print as PDF. Fixing my stream schedule. That's, like I said, that's why we send everything to her, because she's like, hey, you dumbass. Why would you do this? Perfect. It's 10 o'clock. So we'll probably rock for another 45 minutes to an hour. Holy smokes, we got 6 viewers. Awesome. I just had to change something real quick, and then when I looked, this place had blown up. So welcome to the stream, everybody. We're building some Nachmund terrain, and we're actually talking about Tyranids and Guard right now. So that's been good. Well, not so much the Guard since Jim took off, but that's been good. But yeah, this is the Nachmund box, the satellite dish, and the relay tower, whatever you want to call it. Doing some prep work for New Mexico, the Grand Narrative. And Tyler, what stuff helps you with Hormigants in that book? you literally just broke me for a minute because I thought that was your answer to my question, and I was just like, the large what, Tyler? Uh, then I realized you weren't answering my question. Do 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 do. All right. For those that don't know, all this terrain I'm building is for the Grand Narrative event in New Mexico, which is the Games Workshop official narrative. It wraps up their tournament circuit, the Chicago Open, the Kansas City Open, all that. So some people out there got the quote-unquote golden ticket, and if you got a golden ticket, you basically get to go play in New Mexico. Advance in charge, the Gorgon spell, wounds of 6, do immortal to a cap of 6. And correct me if I'm wrong, is there a strat that does mortal wounds for adrenal glands units? Is that what it is? Or is that the advance in charge? I thought there was a specific strat for adrenal glands units, or is that a bonus attack? Acid Maw. Okay. What's the adrenal glands specific strat? I thought there was one. Bonus attack. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Do me a favor, Tyler. Start putting the base hive fleets in chat for me. I kind of want to see what they do. I don't need all the extra ones right now, but if you'd start throwing the base ones in there, I would appreciate that. There's these 1, 2, 3. I need one more. Is it that? It's not that. 1, 2, 3. Where's my fourth one? By my feet. Cool. All right. All right. All right. All right. Now, ladies. Ladies. All right. Sorry. I'm done. All right. Yep. Thank you, Tyler. Some of these guys are learning Kill Team, and it's funny, uh, which is awesome. That's such a great game. Uh, so I'm super excited to see people playing it. That's what I do for Games Workshop. I'm one of their. I'm just like the main Kill Team judge now, outside of my boss. Each time a unit with this adaptation fights, if it made a charge move, that is Behemoth, right? What else do they do besides +1 strength? Because interestingly, like in Behemoth specifically, you can have strength 5 Hormigants, which is really funny. Because they're strength 3 base. The adrenal gland gives them +1 to their movement, +1 to their strength. And then the bonus strength on the charge. So that is an interesting interaction there. That's it? They don't have a secondary Hive Fleet adaptation? Like they don't have like the Leviathan reroll a wound roll type of thing? Or do you have to pick whatever their secondary one is? Like they just don't have a core. Oh. Okay, so the reroll charges wasn't in that paragraph you sent me though. Okay. I thought maybe I was an idiot and missed it. Turns out you were the idiot and didn't send it. Got it. It's alright, dude. We're all idiots around here. Let me see. Users in chat. What we got here? Well, if we have, and actually, while I've got everybody here, all these users, viewers, viewers, I don't know. Anyway, while everybody's here, I just want to remind everybody, once we hit 50 followers, I am giving away a combat patrol. So if you do enjoy what's going on here, or you want to see stream games, we do stream games every Thursday. We will slowly be incorporating stream games into every other Saturday. That's going to start in November, but it's only going to be, I think, one Saturday in November. Okay, and Kraken is, so yeah, once we hit 50 followers, we're going to go ahead and start. I'm going to give away a combat patrol. There we go. We got there. My multitasking skills are terrible. Terrible. Each time a unit with this adaptation fights, if it made a charge move this turn, until, so they get bonus AP on the charge. And then advance D3 plus 3, but you can't use that to advance and charge outside of onslaught, it looks like. I assume that's what those stratagems do, some kind of advance and charge. So that's interesting. You'd have to onslaught them in order to get the D3 plus 3. Right. So that's is that the one that you said is basically like competitively the worst, Tyler? And I'm not saying you're wrong, because I feel like when I looked up the numbers, like that they supported. Oh, Hydra. Okay, that's what it was. I say, because that actually seems pretty good. You're just covering a lot of ground, and so many of the Tyranid guns are assault. So even if you don't charge that turn, you're still going to get to shoot. So there's a lot of viability in play there. I like that. I think we're gonna what time do it be? Yeah, we'll probably go until 11ish. That way I can get some lunch. We'll see how far we are at 11. That's right. In the fight phase, you get to reroll hit rolls as long as you have a larger unit than your opponent. What's their secondary? And we know Leviathan. You don't have to put Leviathan in the chat, Tyler. Like, we just got done talking about them. Add 1 inch to the movement of characteristic. Wait a second. So Hydra gets to reroll hit rolls in the fight phase if you outnumber people, and then all your units add 1 to their movement and get to consolidate 6 inches. Am I understanding that right? That's actually really good. I understand why it's competitively probably considered the weakest, because I think it's the one that's probably got the highest skill floor in order to play it well. But if you are a very skilled player, you can put that extra movement and consolidation to a lot of work. So that's interesting. I do like that interaction quite a bit. I think it's really good, and I think there's a lot of play there if you as a player want to put the time in to figure out how to use it to score points. So that's, like I said, that's really interesting. Each time a model with this adaptation makes a melee attack that targets a... Oh, it's 1 to the hit rolls. And vehicles and monsters count as 5 models when you... But your monsters don't count as extra, correct? Like your Hive Tyrant still just counts as a single model when determining this. But like your opponent's vehicles and monsters count as 5, correct? Or is that just all vehicles and all monsters count as 5? Man, if that's verbatim, that means all vehicles and monsters count as 5, and that's actually still really good then. If you can soften up a unit of Marines, for example, with some shooting and then send a Carnifex into them, you're just going to reroll or +1 to your hit roll, not reroll. Sorry, +1 to your hit roll. Yeah, like that's not bad. Yeah, no, yeah. I agree. I just had to really read it and think about it. And that's super interesting. Yep, you're fine, dude. And I knew like it's close enough that it makes sense. Do they still get the bonus move in the 3-inch consolidate? Yeah, they do. That's right, because in 8th edition they only got the 1. They didn't get 2 army bonuses. So I like it. Who's yeah, I know. I think, man, like Hydra could actually have some really good play competitively. It's just it's going to require really good positioning. Like you can't be a sloppy player and play them and win games. And that's generally speaking the things that do well competitively are things that allow for a bigger margin of error. Leviathan pre-nerf and even now still they allow for some sloppy play. When your whole army has transhuman and you can take a lot of bodies, like they allow for some sloppy play. Yeah. Uh, what's their relic and warlord trait and stratagem, Tyler? And I guess their spell, because I forgot that Nids all got faction-based spells too. I'm trying to think of all the armies, or not all, but most of them got faction-based spells. That's interesting. Because I don't know if Eldar did, because I've only played... I don't think they did. But they have a lot of spells anyway. But I've only really played Ynnari, so I just use the Ynnari spells for the most part anyway. Right. Okay. And I think tomorrow, I don't know what we're going to do for stream tomorrow. Also, Tyler, did you, while you're looking that up, when you get a chance, Were you fine with shifting over to doing a Monday stream, or do you still want to do Tuesday? I don't care either way. I thought I was going to need you to switch, but I don't think it's going to matter. So whatever you want to do should be fine. It's just still going to have to be in the afternoon. Okay. Well, then we'll just plan to keep you on Tuesdays for now, just so you don't have to change what you're doing. And then the warlord trait, psychic power, relic, like all the extra bullshit. Am a little jealous that Nid's got, faction-based psychic powers. All of those went away for orcs with the psychic awakening. So big sads. I wanted jabbing fingers to stay good, and it didn't. Like, it's not bad, but it's not great. Jabbing fingers was really solid in the psychic awakening. But yeah, just a warlord trait relic, stratagem, all the extra stuff you get for playing Hydra. And those all that like flash and bullshit on the bottom is gonna just stay there because that's the bottom, and nobody's gonna see the bottom of these. They're gonna get set up on a table and they're not gonna move for like 2 weeks, a week, a week. And I need to see if I got my paint instructions yet, because I'm pretty close to ready for paint. Beep, beep, beep. Not yet. Which is fine. They're probably just working out a plan to fire me. It's not true. All right. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Where are we at? 10:35. So we'll probably stop building after this because I don't want to get into another piece and then stop. And we'll just kind of hang out for about 15 minutes before we call it. All right. That's done. So yeah, tomorrow, I don't know what we're going to do yet. We might do some more building because I do have a little bit left. We might do some painting. Who knows? It's 50-50. Fridays are going to be, like I said, just kind of a grab bag. And it's only going to be for maybe 2 hours. And whereas like the other days are going to end at 11, we're going to do 3 hours on the other days. And we're going to try to just get a much more consistent stream schedule going now. Had to get through a few things. All right. Do. All right. What's happening with that warlord trade, Tyler? What's happening with them sausages, Charlie? 2 minutes, Turkish. I love that movie. Is one of my favorites. There we go. Cool, cool, cool. Put that little light there. Uh, and I've got to work on a video and get that posted today, and homework. So that might be what we do this afternoon. At least get started on some of it. All right, also, we're going to be testing a new tournament format next Saturday. That'll be cool. It's the faction-based team event. I think we're going to cut or shut down registration. We've got 4 teams right now, and I've just spoke with all of them, and I think they're all good. Everybody's committed. Everybody's playing. So I think we're money there. And I think we're just going to do that. Ta-da! Bam. All right. So yeah, we're going to stop building here. We'll give it about 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and then we're going to stop streaming. And that's it. You know, we got through effectively one whole box of Nachmund. And like I said, I can do them in about an hour, a little over, if I'm just like, that's all I'm doing. It takes me about an hour and a half to get through one while I'm streaming, hour and 45. But we've got a few more to do. So we'll probably do some more of these over the next couple weeks, and also some painting. All right. Cool. Yep, that's still going. Zach did not message me yet. Answer this real quick. Uh-oh. Did we crash? No, okay. Let's refresh chat. Well, oh, you were filling? I don't know what a pumpkin bag is. But sounds good, buddy. Yeah, if you don't have easy access to it, don't worry about it. We'll talk about it maybe next stream, and go from there. I think we're gonna go ahead and call it here. We're at an hour 50 on stream. So I'm gonna, like I said, we're gonna stop here. Tomorrow we're gonna start at 8. We're gonna be doing 2 hours worth of streaming, and then Tyler, are you and Alex gonna be here around 10? Okay, that'll work then. So yeah, I'll stream. See you guys around 10. We'll get at least a game in here before we head towards Reliquary. We'll head to Reliquary and move on from that. So, all right, thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate the viewers. Man, we did great today. So, again, really excited. Need to get the viewers up. We have been getting the viewers up, so appreciate that. Before I stop, just want to remind everybody we do have a Teespring store, so check that out. It's teespring.com/Phoenixgaming.space. And have a good day. See you tomorrow.